Welcome back. Bird flu has been a concern across the country in recent weeks.
Nebraska's governor signed an emergency declaration last week after bird flu was confirmed in a flock of chickens in our state. So joining us now with more on this issue is the director of the Nebraska Department of Agriculture, Greg Ibach. Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so Greg, there seems to be a growing problem with what's known as bird flu. It's impacting poultry producers across the country. So what exactly is it, and how will it impact poultry producers?
So we've seen a kind of a new resurgence of avian influenza, high pathogenic, that has swept across the United States. Nebraska was fairly fortunate in that we hadn't had any diagnosis when we had states all around us, but we had our first one last week.
And so the governor actually issued an emergency declaration when this was discovered. What does that mean?
So the purpose of his emergency declaration was more logistical than the fact that it was really a panic or emergency. It enabled NEMA to help us coordinate some of our responses with the Department of Agriculture, with roads, with State Patrol, and with DEQ so that we could work together a little bit more expediently.
So where did this happen?
So this happened in northeast Nebraska in Dixon County. The first diagnosis was at a farm that had 1.7 million birds, laying hens. And then there was a second diagnosis a few days later that involved another 1.8 million hens at a facility.
So what do the producers do when they see this?
So you know, it's high pathogenic. So typically a lot of the birds are sick and then die. It's very lethal. It's high fatality rates. And so then what we work with USDA, since it's considered a foreign animal disease, we work with USDA here at the state to coordinate the response, to help producers dispose of the birds, and any birds then that haven't passed away from the flu, then we work to depopulate because they're a source of the infection for other birds.
Because how contagious is it, Greg?
It's very contagious, and so we want to try to eliminate the disease in Nebraska, and so we work proactively to depopulate those flocks that have it to try to protect the rest of Nebraska's bird producers and poultry producers.
And I think when we hear about this, you hear the words bird flu. It's a little alarming, but what does it really mean? I mean, does it just affect the poultry flock? It doesn't really have an impact on humans, and I guess, you know, as far as us eating eggs or chickens, is that a danger at all?
So the CDC has determined that this strain of avian influenza that's present is really of little or no risk to humans, so we really don't have to worry about it. A lot of Nebraska's egg production is destined to egg products, so it either comes to the consumers in the form of a pasteurized raw egg product or a cooked product, so it's there's nothing to worry about at that point in time. Even if it was whole table eggs, they're washed and sanitized on the outside, and so the inside is pristine and fine. And then you know, if it was meat, like turkey flocks are being impacted in some other states, Minnesota and Iowa. As long as you cook it to a well-done temperature, you know, 160 degrees internal temperature, nothing to worry about, and that's just good food safety sense now that we're getting to grilling season anyway.
So you shouldn't be afraid to go out and buy your chicken and buy your eggs at the grocery store?
Nope, there's little or no risk other than the normal foodborne pathogens that we need to cook food to well-done temperatures or to done temperatures anyway.
Now, you said this particular flu wasn't a problem. Are there some that could be?
You know, every now and then you'll hear of strains of that are more zoonotic that can affect humans and animals. This strain is not.
This one is not, okay.
And I guess so it's just a little bit troublesome for maybe the farmers, the producers, because they have to kind of deal with this a little bit.
Well, it's a big impact. You know, they lose their flock. There's a period of time that we'll need to make sure that we can sanitize and disinfect the facilities that they raise the chickens in before they repopulate them. So there's loss of income. So it's fairly devastating to those producers that are impacted. And you know, so far Nebraska's been fairly fortunate as compared to some other states around us. You know, Iowa has had a huge impact from this.
Greg, do you think it's going to continue to spread?
You know, we hope that warmer weather plays in our favor, and you know, if we would get past this cooler weather, and into the normal summer and late spring temperatures, we would for sure help us out. It's more of a cool season type of pathogen.
What about prices maybe at the grocery store? Do you think that this may have an impact on consumers a little bit at the store?
So enough of the turkey population has been affected in other states that there's a lot of people that feel that Thanksgiving turkey time could be, you'll notice the impact then. As far as eggs and egg products, that's a little bit up in the air because we've lost some of our export markets because of the bird flu. Other nations have shut us off from exporting, not necessarily based on sound science, but that's just what happens. And so, we've lost some of that demand, but we've lost supply too. So I think a little bit of that question has to play out in what will it be at the grocery store. Last week we saw some specials for really cheap eggs here in Nebraska. So
That's right.
What do you think the future is going to be as far as this avian flu?
So we typically don't have this in the United States, but it's been so widespread this spring. I think that's also a key question that we're working with USDA to decide, is this something that we're just going to deal with now? Is it going to no longer be a foreign animal disease and something that we have to work with over the next few years to eradicate? And it's brought in by migratory birds that come from other countries to the north and west of us. So, and there could be another influx when they fly back north. They came in and went south, and now they'll go back north this fall, so it could come again.
Okay.
Okay.
Very informative. Thank you for being here today.
Good to know Nebraska's on top of it too.
Right.
So, all right, thank you.